Welcome everyone to our second GTK chat live here on YouTube. Chaps, how are you doing today?
Good, Stay Puft. How are you doing? Do we have Faceplant here?
Faceplant is just in the back room right here as we get situated. How was your day?
Good. So double tap today. Went to Pitch Perfect's birthday. He turned 37 today. So happy Pitch Perfect.
All right.
Yeah, he's a young guy. And then did a late start. We actually had a new guy out there today for late start, which is great.
So what's your name? What's your name? The FNG.
So he already had a name, but his name is Duke of Dial of Duke or something like that.
Okay.
And I would love to understand how he got that name, but great guy. He already said that he's going to be out a few times, and he loves the late start option. So that's great. If anybody doesn't know, late start for us is 6:15 on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
At what AOs?
So Tuesday is Outpost, Frontier Park, and then Dark Tower, which is downtown Naperville.
Rotary Hill.
Yep. And then we've also got on Friday, 6:15 at the sports complex over on, what is that? Is that not Weber? Is it Weber? Naperville Boulevard.
So.
Naperville Boulevard.
Naperville Boulevard, yeah. So close to Weber, though.
Close enough, yeah.
Yeah. So I committed AO adultery today.
Oh, yeah.
So no, I didn't fart sack. I committed AO adultery.
Oh, okay.
I HC'd to one AO, but I went to a different AO.
And how'd you do that? Was that by mistake or?
Well, it was Sonny Bono's 60th birthday party Q at the Citadel.
Nice.
So I'm like, I better show up to Sonny Bono, and I got the coffee ready and got some on-site cafeteria for his 60th birthday.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, Stay Puft, I am not a coffee guy.
I just thought you didn't like on-site cafeteria.
No, I'm just not a coffee person. I don't like the bean taste. I don't know. I just the taste of it just tastes different. But Hank Hill had on-site cafeteria at the complex, and I don't know if it was the cream or if it was the coffee or whatever, but it was delicious.
All right. So something got you. So as we're all waiting, we're going to add Faceplant to us. So Faceplant, welcome to our Merry show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here. Very excited about the conversation that's up and coming.
It's always a lively conversation, Faceplant.
That's right.
Yeah. We have loose guidelines here. So we promised everyone on Slack today we're going to keep it around PG-13, maybe.
Yeah, perfect.
We don't want to get disbanded or anything like that. So it's probably going to be more PG than anything. But I have high hopes. But let's get to know you, Faceplant. So let's go. I wish I had some music here, but I'm not that fancy. But let's get to know Faceplant. So Faceplant, what is Faceplant? Are you like a gardener? Did you fall down hard? What happened? Because whenever I hear you, I always see the oh. I always see the oh.
I was kind of about to have my first daughter, and it was like the last night of freedom, if you will, before your first child. You kind of subconsciously know this. I went out with the guys in the neighborhood. I went home, and as soon as I came home, I tripped up the stairs. My wife was not very happy with me. And then about a year later, I found F3 and became Faceplant.
Well, that's good. And that does happen. That happened to one of my friends. He actually hit his nose and got a bloody nose from doing that. But so Faceplant, you weren't wearing like a kilt like this picture says, right? There's no weirdness there. You just tripped and fell on your face. I just
tripped, but I would say, so I'd say that picture is about 95% accurate minus the kilt, because I've never worn one. Maybe the next OCR race, I'll borrow one.
Who EH'd you?
I read the article in Men's Health. So Matt Crossman wrote that article in Men's Health, and it was 2018 or 2019. And I read the article, and I looked on Instagram or Facebook, found F3 Naperville, and showed up the next day.
Wow, look at that.
That's very cool.
So
I didn't know.
it was in January too.
January of what year?
I think it was 2018.
2018. Wow, yeah. So you're one of the first people. And what AO did you show up at?
Dark Tower.
Dark Tower.
Who was
Dark
who was
Tower,
you?
and then we made Iron Line a few months after that. We started Iron Line, up the mile.
So who was your Q on the first workout?
I couldn't tell you. Like Uncle Rico was there, Fake ID, AFib, a handful of guys. But it was like Uncle Rico and probably Fake ID were the two main guys that came up with the name that day.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And
So
then,
is Dark Tower and Iron Line like your home AO still?
Correct. If I'm going to post, typically I'll post there. Sometimes Newton's Ridge, because all the guys on the east side, if you will, they usually go there. So it just depends on the day and what's going on.
Yeah, good guys.
do you have a preferred AO?
I like Downtown Naperville personally, so Dark Tower is probably my favorite. But for ease of commute, I can't beat Iron Line. I think it's like 7 minutes door to door.
I think I've seen you more. Whenever I worked out with you, I've seen you more at Iron Lion than any other AO.
See, I was
Personally, last year I probably did like 80% of my workouts at Iron Lion.
Do you have a
because I just don't go to Iron Lion enough, but I always saw him at Dark Tower. And same thing. I just always remembered his face plant, when he would do it. So I'm like, that's a unique thing, but
yeah, so I'll break off again this summer, and on Saturdays I'll start doing like more mobility and yoga classes at Dark Tower on Saturday when it warms up a little bit. It's too cold for yoga right now.
Could definitely use that.
Yeah, I love that. And then our first commenter is always La Bamba.
Oh, La Bamba!
He's our number one fan.
He's our number one fan, La Bamba. He is always first to usually HC and for second F events. That's for sure. So
that's for sure.
So how do you take your coffee? Faceplant.
It really depends where I'm at, but typically I'll get a light roast with cream.
Light roast with cream.
You don't get anything fancy or
no fancy. Like an Americano would be fancy, but that just means I'm tired, so I need 2 shots of espresso versus coffee.
All right.
And what do you do outside of F3? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you actually do?
Well, I got 3 little girls, so I've got a 13-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So I'm pretty much a fully engaged father. And then I just got on the Veterans Business Bureau board, so I'm helping connect veterans with businesses and try and get them involved. So that's one thing I just started doing the last couple months.
Good for you.
And then I was actually in a meeting on Monday, and my goal is like, you have such a great network of F3, and obviously if you show up in F3, you're a highly reputable person, right? And so I have all these veterans on the other side, and I want to like converge everybody, right? Because there's a lot of opportunity on both sides to get together. And being a veteran, like F3 was the biggest, most positive thing that happened to me, other than getting married and having kids, but like having a social life outside of like work and your daily routine. So F3 was a big game changer for me. And so I think for veterans, it's huge to go back to that community, because I was just at another group called Wild Ops. They take combat vets, take them fishing for a week. And I was on that trip. And during that trip, everyone's like very isolated. They have no friends once they leave that trip, but they come to that trip and they're connected to a community again. And I think the power of F3 is you could be a lone guy, have not talked to anybody for 10 years, come to F3 one time, and you've got friends who will hang out with you, work out with you, have coffee, and you've got somewhere to go 6 days a week to build that community. So I think that's very powerful, and that's what we need to focus on as leaders in F3 is, bringing the most positive part of the F3 community from our community to the next community and keep branching out.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very well said, too.
And before we go more into Wild Ops and the other charities we're going to talk about, are you a veteran yourself? I thought you were in the law enforcement community. Is that correct? Or you were,
I was in the Marine Corps for about 10 years. And then when I was in the Marine Corps, I started becoming a federal law enforcement officer. So I worked for the DEA for about approximately 9 years, and then I transferred to the Postal Service as an investigator.
Wow.
Very cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Postal off. So what kind of, so are you like investigating people who go inside other people's mailboxes, or is it just a little bit more low key?
So I'm doing like internal investigations. Like if a mail person, like someone who works for the post office, steals checks or greeting cards while they're in the mail in the flow from like grandma's house to the grandson's house, we'll get a lot of those. We'll investigate like where did that disappear to, or like right now treasury checks start disappearing. So where do those get stolen out of the mail flow, and then who's taking them, and we kind of do the investigation trying to figure out who did that.
Wow,
Very
that is very cool. So but let's bring that back to the next thing. So you have something very big happening this Friday, correct?
That's right.
So what is that?
It's called the Celtic Classic. And so I wanted to have this is about 4 years ago we started. I wanted to have an event where we bring like rucking together. And the biggest part about the rucking was we go for rucks all the time, but the Go Ruck had an event, and they used to have what they call a service project as part of their event. And so I said, let's do a ruck. Let's make it fun, but let's also have a service project. And so I realized the best way to do the service project was raising money. So the first year we did it, I don't know if you've been to Lyle Park District, but there's like a fitness trail there. So on that fitness trail.
Iron Lion, correct? We're talking about?
At Iron Lion, correct.
Yeah.
So the first year we did that, we raised $3,000. And we gave that to the Park District Fund that was creating the workout equipment. And if you go there, there's like a squat machine dedicated to F3 Naperville. Well, we didn't want a squat machine. We wanted pull-up bars. But the way the funding worked was it wasn't going to happen that year because it was like in the height of COVID. So they couldn't get the pull-up bars. So we got a different piece of equipment. So then the second year we did the Celtic Classic, we rucked from Peanuts in downtown Naperville to, Bubble House, because Bubble House just opened, and we had about 40 people there. And that year, to get my wife involved, because she could sell a lot of raffle tickets, we donated money to the West Suburban Humane Society in Downers Grove on Ogden. And then guys kept making fun of me about the pull-up bars. So finally, last year, I said, you know what? We're going to have a big party for the Celtic Classic, and we're going to raise enough money for the pull-up bars. And so I said, what's the ideal situation, and what could you manage? So like we get like 2 pull-up bars, and if you've been there, you could see we got 2 pull-up bars, and we got monkey bars as well. So we raised enough money to get those 2 pieces of equipment put in at Iron Lion, and then the rest of the money all went to the West Suburban Community Pantry in Lyle.
Very cool.
And what years? How many years have you been doing? Because Celtic Classic took a break from being the Ruck. You did a special party last year. How many years have you been doing the Celtic Classic?
This should be the 4th year.
And how many people do you get coming out, Faceplant? Like, has it steadily grown? And I know that you guys had, or not you guys, but we all had COVID, right? But has it been growing each year? And how can we, keep spreading that word?
Well, I think last year we were able to collect a lot of guys because of the cause was so big with like people want pull-up bars at their park. So we were able to get a lot of buy-in for that. But then also I had it at Alter Brewing. So Alter Brewing donated their big room to us because we were raising money for the Park District and the food pantry. So they were gracious enough to give us that for free. So we were able to have a band, get a lot of people to donate for the raffle. So last year was a huge year. So this year is a completely different look because I realized if you have the party, now you can bring your M to the party or your wife or your girlfriend or, your family, where this is going to be a little more like F3-esque in the sense we're doing a ruck. You could still bring your kids if you wanted to. You could bring your wife. But it's not just we're going to sit around and listen to music, right? The first part's going to be a 6-mile ruck. We're going to start at Centennial Beach, and then from Centennial Beach, we're going to go to Go Brewing, which is also a blind corner now, Solemn Oath. And then based on our time, we'll probably turn back there and go to the VFW Hall because the VFW Hall in Naperville is expecting us at about 8:30. And then I've got raffle prizes that we'll have a raffle once we get to the VFW Hall.
That's great. And it all starts out at Centennial Beach this Friday at 6 o'clock, right? Or
6:30. Like you get there at 6 and hang out, but we'll probably step off right around 6:30. I'll probably maybe we'll walk around for 10 minutes in case guys are coming in from work and they're going to be a little late.
Yep. Cool.
And then, so what are we? So how are we raising money? We have some great organizations coming up. So let me skip to that slide here. I'm just going to do some movie magic here while I'm talking with you here. So tell us about some of the great organizations that this year the Celtic Classic will be benefiting.
Okay, so the first one's Wild Ops. They're not local to Chicago, but I did op with them in January. So you go out, they take combat veterans. They have a process to make sure you served and where you served. Then they kind of group you up based on your personality with 8 other veterans, and they send you to like Montana. I went to Arkansas, and I believe they do one in California. So they fly you out there, you meet up with your group, you go fishing for about 4 days, and then you travel on the end of each one of those. And so for me, I enjoyed the trip. What I realized is there's a lot of veterans out there who are isolated, who have PTSD and severe, they call it TBI, traumatic brain injury. And so these guys, like if you saw them, you'd say, oh, that's a normal looking person. But like the way they've been traumatized through going to combat, they're not as normal as you would think. And so that trauma like compounds over time. And what Wild Ops does is it literally like fishes them back into the community and gives them a chance and builds gives them new friends. Because like when they leave the military, they're like on an intense team and they get isolated, and then we want to bring them back to community. So that's what Wild Ops does. So I'm a big fan of Wild Ops. I think there's a certain population who definitely needs, what's up, Tailspin, good to see you, that needs Wild Ops. So I wanted to support them this year. And then the next organization is the Veteran Business Project, and they're local to Naperville. So if you've ever been to Rosie's Home Cooking on Ogden, where Ogden kind of ends and it turns into Aurora Avenue, by Ale House. So Rosie's is owned by Lynn Lauder. He was a Vietnam veteran. He's about 79 years old. He was a recon Marine. Awesome guy. And he wanted to create a program for veterans that helps them own their own business, because they inherently have good leadership skills and they can follow a plan very well. And so that's his passion project. And there's a bunch of others. So I'm on the board for the Veteran Business Project. And for me, it's more that the locality of it, because I'm not I want to be in a club on, on Zoom every day. Like I'd rather meet in person. That's why we all get along at F3. So Veterans Business Project's my primary way as a veteran to get engaged in the veteran community and start helping those guys reach out beyond their normal veteran community, right? Because like you have these like segregated groups, not that F3 segregated, because we're always recruiting people, right? Like if you smile at us, we're going to invite you to a workout. That's all it takes for us, right?
I tried getting some policemen at the Citadel, and they just kind of waved at me and they gave me a thumbs up.
So now it's the veterans, like they're a tight-knit group. So it's like as we incorporate more of them, because we got a handful of veterans in F3 and it's good for them. But I know there's other guys out there who are just kind of, I don't want to say they're lost, but they don't know what the next best thing for them is. And I think if you come to F3 for a week or 7 years, it's the next best thing for most people, right?
Agreed.
To build that community and move forward as they progress. And that's why I'm trying to connect the dots. Like when I was on Wild Ops on the app, I tried to do F3 workouts in the morning. One morning I had 2 people show up, and the next morning I had 1. The rest of the mornings I was solo. But, give it the old college try.
Yeah.
So that being said, so coming to the Celtic Classic, doing the ruck is free in itself. How are you fundraising for Wild Ops and Veteran Business Project?
So we got the easiest ways right now, where we have the website for the event that you put up, right? And so on that website, as you can see, we have our sponsor, Frontline Athletic. They're helping us with the shirts. So we got that green shirt up there. And we had one of the F3 guys, he wanted Abraham Lincoln dressed as a leprechaun. So we did that, as you can see on the patch, which is also on the shirt. And
who was that designed by?
Pardon me?
Who was the logos designed by? It was by one of our packs, correct? They helped
Rain Man designed it. So Rain Man's designed the logo for the Celtic Classic the last several years. Like a couple of years ago, it was a picture of Abe Lincoln's face, and it was just a Velcro patch. Then last year, it was I went to Mud Gear and I bought patches that are yellow that say "Be an Asset" and the F3 koozies. And so this year we broke away from the koozies and we just said, I like to be the asset. slogan, because no matter where you go, if you're an asset, people want you there, right? So never be a liability, be an asset. So I think that's a huge mantra to get behind, no matter what you do. And so that's why that's the slogan for the Celtic Classic.
And then the Frontline Athletic, that's from one of our packs, Lambeer. So
that's correct. Lambeer is the owner and operator of Frontline Athletic.
And the shirt's going to be a poly blend green. And then for anyone who's just kind of listening to us, because sometimes people just kind of listen in, they might not be visually seeing our screen. It's going to be the shirt's going to be a green poly blend with the Abraham Lincoln in a leprechaun outfit with his fists up, correct? And it says "Be an Asset."
Correct. As a matter of fact, I picked up the patches today. It's identical to the patch in the picture, which, it's good to see the proof, and then see the proof is in the pudding when it actually gets made correctly. And they're Velcro, so you can put it on your ruck, you can put it on your cover, or even on your vest if you have the tack vest, which is really cool.
Nice. Yeah. That's really cool. And then again, so you go all this to F3, you can go to f3naperville.com/Celtic Classic 2025, and you can put in this order for a patch, a shirt, or both, and the proceeds go to Wild Ops and Veteran Business Project, correct?
That's correct.
So Faceplant, 2 questions real quick. So are you going to be switching out this logo, this shirt, every year, my second question is, if you are, will that face ever be yours?
Well, no one requested a Faceplant patch this year, so hence we stuck with Abe Lincoln. But I think the way we brand it is I wanted you to be able to wear it 5 years from now and it's still a relevant shirt. And so that's why we kind of kept the marking off it for 2025.
Yeah. And
so then it's kind of just a cool shirt to wear out. If you're out, if you wore that to a St. Patrick's Day party, you're gonna get a lot of attention, a lot of conversation asking you what's up with the leprechaun, what's be an asset mean, and then what's F3 Naperville, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's like a talking point. You wear that out, people will be like, oh, that's interesting. What's that about, right? So it's not overpopulated, but it's interesting enough to gather conversation. So I joke, if you are in Naperville and you wear a Purdue shirt, someone's going to talk to you because there's such a big outcropping of people from Purdue in Naperville, right? Or Iowa State or Iowa University. It's just what happens.
And then so once you make an order, you're not going to get it the day of it. You're just making sure, because you want to order the exact number of what you need, correct? So once you get final orders in after Celtic Classic, you're going to put in the final order. So you have to order by the end of Celtic Classic, and they'll be delivered afterwards, correct?
Yeah, we'll do a hand-to-hand handoff delivery at different AOs once we get them made and the final orders in. The patches are available now, so we can. If you order a patch, we'll have a sheet at the Celtic Classic. I'll mark you off and hand off your patch to you there. Or if you want to buy more at the Celtic Classic, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. All on our F3 Naperville website. And so we have one of our other packs who's going to become joining us at the VFW Hall. And tell us more about at the after party.
So the after party will start about 8:30. And just by going to the VFW Hall, we're supporting veterans, right? Because we can go to any establishment we want. But part of this is we want to support the community. So we're going to support veterans pretty hardcore at this event this year. So we're going to the VFW Hall. We got Crambone, Campfire Troubadour, who'll be playing live music at the VFW Hall that night. So I'm pretty excited about that. And
you said you had raffles going on?
We have raffles going on. We'll show you some of the gifts here in a minute. The VFW Hall sells pizza, so you can get they have a little freezer. You open up the freezer, pull out the pizza, bring it to the bartender. They'll cook it there for you. If you like Yingling, they got Yingling on draft. They got a bunch of other beer on draft. So it's a pretty cool venue, and it's almost like a history museum. So we're in the bottom level. They call it the canteen, and if you're into military history, there's a lot of books, there's a lot of posters, a lot of uniforms. So it's a really neat place to go and see military history without having to go downtown.
How do you get back to Dark? If we're parking at Dark Tower, how are we getting back to Dark Tower? Is my big question.
Beach, right? So when you guys run to the pavilion?
Yep.
Yeah, so Centennial Beach is in that same parking lot as the pavilion, and the VFW Hall is just north of the pavilion where they lift for the Black Diamond Lift Club.
Okay, so it's not too far. So it's going to be, it's an easy walk. It's more of a circle. I for somehow in my mind, I had like a point A to point B with no circling around. So
it's like probably 200 yards if you park by Centennial Beach to the front of the VFW hall.
So what are some of these, if I'll expand on your screen, you want to show some of the raffles you have on the back?
I would like to show you, I think, the most prized item so far. I don't know if you guys know Hootie. He runs Frontline OCR. So Frontline OCR is going to offer a couple race entries as raffle tickets, which is awesome. They supported us every year. Well, now Hootie is into making shillelagh sticks. So I don't know if you were a kid, like I grew up, we had neighbors from Ireland that have these like dual color canes. And it's a stick that could be used as a walking stick, but it could also be used as a weapon. So it's a pretty exciting event. So this is like Hootie's new side hustle. And I actually just went to a birthday party for a 50-year-old buddy of mine. I'm like, what do I get him? I said, you know what? I'm going to buy him one of Hootie's shillelagh sticks. And I bought the stick, and then Hootie donated this one for the Celtic Classic. And then Hootie's last name is Leon, which is lion. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but he's got a stamp of a lion.
Wow.
Stick. Like he brands it. So it's pretty cool.
He goes all out. And I think we're going to be talking to him next week.
Yes. So, so that being said, that is awesome. We're going to wrap up our conversation with.
I'll show you two more items real quick. Or mention
Sure.
So another one of our big sponsors is Go Brewing. We're going to their brewery, but they also have a little swag and beer package here that'll be up.
They have some really good beer.
Yeah, probably the best non-alcoholic beer in the game. Not probably. I mean, they really do have the best. So it's exciting to go there. And now they have a blind corner there. So if a guy wants to have a regular charged beer while we're out, he can as well. And then Rosie's Home Cooking, we mentioned earlier, the owner is Lynn Lauder. They donated several gift cards. We'll have raffles with various denominations, so you guys can take your family out to breakfast at Rosie's Home Cooking as well.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's awesome. So my big question for you now, because we're now going to talk about Lincoln Games. Faceplant, have you HC'd yet for the Lincoln Games?
I have not. I do one event at a time, right? Once I get past the Celtic Classic, then I can look past the Celtic Classic. But right now I got too much vested in the Celtic Classic to be looking forward.
Well, we have a couple updates with
That's understanding.
That is understanding. So we have a couple updates with the Lincoln Games I just want to point out here. So first off, if you haven't heard, Divine Influence has been invoked by the first F. Have you guys heard about the Divine Influence rule yet?
No.
So Divine Influence is relatively not new, because there's always the first F always likes to throw in last minute bonus points. So I just gave it we gave it an official name called Divine Influence. And this week in Slack, supply chain came up and said, yep, that's now bonus points. So if you ride a unicycle for 3+ miles every day, you will get 5 extra bonus points.
Wow.
So that has been invoked. So keep talking on Slack. The first stuff is watching. So you never know when something new is going to be added. We do want to
be careful, Faceplant. We don't want you to fall on that unicycle.
I typically stay off such things, you know.
We do want to remind you, so if you're going to the pre-gaming is also part of Lincoln Games, so you can go to a bunch of great second and third F events happening around the AO. So so if you're part of Celtic Classic, you get to add those points for your third F points. If you went to we're going to talk about some second F events happening. If you go to those, you can add those to your points as well. So make sure you're recording that score sheet. It's on the web. The link is on f3naperville.com/Lincoln Games. You can also, I'm going to go turn off my banner here, get to the right banner. There we go. And if you're on our F3 Naperville Slack, make sure you go to the Lincoln Games 2025 channel and make sure you're posting all your evidence when you go to the stuff at Lincoln Games, evidence only. Chaps, I reforwarded your big picture.
Yeah.
So I showed up late with my kid, and he took my phone. It was taking random pictures, so I posted those too, in case anyone didn't get in the picture. So
there you go.
And something big news, just hot off the presses today, we have official Lincoln Games gear from F3 Gear, powered by Mud Gear. So shout out to Go Bomb for putting this all together. So the ordering window is going to open up in the next 4 to 5 days. We're only going to have 6 days after that to order this gear. So you can get the Lincoln Games shirt. They'll have a various tank tops, t-shirts, a couple of hoodies. And if you order it within the window, that stuff's going to come here by Lincoln Games. And then we'll also have, and just like last year, once we get the draft together, you guys, people are going to get information on how to order team shirts with their team logo on it, made by Frontline Athletic as well, after the Chaos Draft.
I got another hot off the press item for you. Frontline Athletic is going to have a ruck in the raffle at the Celtic Classic.
What?
There you go. Wow.
There you go.
You can't make that up. It's going to be awesome.
That is, yeah. So Chaps, tell us some about the second F happening, some big things happening in the region.
Yeah, so I'm a big basketball fan. March Madness is probably the best tournament ever, I think. But we are going to have this Thursday, we're going to have a little happy hour get-together at Piazza with our friends at Outlands, another F3 region. They're great guys, so they will be there with us. So that is happening this Thursday at Piazza. It used to be called the Foundry, if you guys are familiar with how the Foundry was. Same spot. And then our next second F, we have the Empire on April 11th. And then also in April, we have the draft going on. So that is something that Stay Puft, you and I will be interviewing and talking to all the
everyone there. Yep. And we'll be doing commentary. We'll be doing commentary on all the drafts live while it's happening. We'll have it live on stream.
So that would be fun. And then the other thing that I do want to call out is the golf outing.
Yes.
We came in just shy of 70 people last year. July 25th is this golf outing. I will be putting out a pre-HC just to see how many people we can get. We want at least 70 people. And same thing on July 25th, that same day will be Happy Gilmore 2.
The new trailer just came out.
Yes. So Happy Gilmore 2, I will be having a Happy Gilmore hole where everybody has to hit off the tee like him. And then we will have a hockey stick as your putter. So that would be kind of fun, and we'll make it F3 related, of course. And then another big thing that I'll be sending out shortly is the December holiday party that is scheduled for, it's already booked. I booked the room. We will have the entire second floor on December 26th or December 6th, which is a Saturday. We will have the whole second floor at the Elements, which is Hotel Indigo in downtown Naperville.
Wow.
And we're not collecting money yet, but we do need to know a number who wants to be involved. So on our typical HC, on our typical form, we're going to have a pre-HC so we know how many people are coming. Correct, Chaps?
Yes, absolutely. And for the holiday party, we would like to have some M's there, so we want to know that as well. So it's a lot of stuff that we have to manage on our side. So getting that pre-HC is very important.
And coming up too, we're also going to have some golf sponsorships as well. So with some fun perks as part of it, correct? So Absolutely. That will all be coming relatively soon.
Yes. All of this will be coming out in the next week or two. Yep.
Faceplant, do you have any questions about our second effort Lincoln Games since you're here? You want to ask us?
Well, I'm just excited about the golf outing. Where is it going to be at this year?
So it's at Tamarack. It's going to be the same spot that we were at last year. And the reason we left that there is it went so well. A lot of people had fun. And then Spartan Ale House is literally right next door. Their parking lots are almost connected. And so people just go there for dinner and we do our awards there. So everything's just so close that it's just easier that we just left it at Tamarack.
You're getting mac and cheese balls again, right, Chaps?
Yes, I'm working on it. I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm waiting for them to confirm what we're going to have. So
Okay.
mac and cheese balls, I have it down though.
Mac and cheese balls. Mac and cheese balls.
I heard it. Yes.
So before we leave, let me ask you guys, where are you posting tomorrow? And when's the next time you're on the cue sheet?
So I'll go first, and then I'll show it over to you, Faceplant. I'm planning to go tomorrow to Bulldog to see him at the Outpost, and we'll hang out there. That would be good. And I might cue late start on Thursday. The only problem is I'm coming from Citadel, trying to get to late start Dark Tower. So I would have to leave pretty much right away. Oh, there you go. Tailspin's going to OP too. There you go.
Faceplant, what are you doing tomorrow?
I got to look on Slack and see who's got the most numbers within 20 minutes of my house, and I'll be going there to recruit for the Celtic Classic tomorrow morning.
Very nice.
And then as far as posting, I got after spring break, I'll start doing the Saturday morning Broga posts again.
Nice.
Bringing
Yes.
Broga back, coming when it heats up a little bit.
And I'll get the west side. If you get the east side, I'll get the west side with Broga.
There we go. I like it.
But I will be queuing tomorrow at Black Panther in Outlands, and I'll be doing my signature CPR boot camp tomorrow.
Oh, perfect.
Very cool.
So mixing up hands-only CPR training with a boot camp. And of course, if you go to it, it's worth third F points for Lincoln Games.
There you go. Good thing you mentioned that then. Make sure you call that out.
We have to fire up the helicopter to get the Black Panther in the morning.
Well, I will be taking my boot camp. I am going around the region, and I'm also hitting up some FIA AOs too. So I was talking to their SLT today.
Good. Oh, perfect.
So guys, thank you guys. And then on our next, so our next live stream, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to have Hootie. He's in charge of Frontline OCR. So make sure you join us next Tuesday at 8:00 p.m. and we'll be live with him. So Chaps, thanks so much. Faceplant, he's coming back on.
Yep.
Faceplant, we thought you lost there. So thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate you guys for showing up.
I just want to say, Faceplant, thank you for joining. Having you on was a special treat for us. It was great to know you a little bit more, how you got your name, all that stuff. But what you do and how you represent F3 outside of what we do together with all the other charities and stuff like that, that's huge. And I really respect that. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate you gentlemen having the show and helping us move this forward. Be an asset. Let's get better every day.
Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys in the gloom.
All right. Thanks, guys.